Protests are back on campus, and so are some ridiculous anti-protest rules here. Columbia University's secret disciplinary process for students critical of Israel is a report by Murtaza Hussein for Drop Site. So let's read some of this. This is pretty chilling stuff. In the wake of student protests last year over U.S. support for the Israeli war in Gaza, Columbia University has launched secret investigations into students for pro-Palestinian activity on campuses, including engaging in public protests or sharing material that characterizes Israel's actions as genocide or apartheid, or even calls for halting U.S. arms sales to Israel. Okay, we have plenty more to read. Just that intro paragraph. How insane is that? How insane is that? For calling it a genocide, for calling a genocide, or for calling apartheid, or for calling for a change in U.S. policy towards Israel, that gets you investigated by this secretive, newly formed body? I mean, there.
Yeah,
if that was our only exhibit, we could talk about that.
Well, so Maloney just said that Italy wouldn't send troops. What if you protest that? Are you anti-Italian?
Yeah, right. You anti-Italian? Exactly. I mean, just incredible already. Columbia's campaign to suppress campus activism uses provisions from the Civil Rights Act, as I talked about in the last clip, which the school interprets expansively to characterize criticism of Israel as discriminatory harassment. I want to read that sentence again. Columbia's campaign to suppress campus activism uses provisions from the Civil Rights Act, which the school interprets expansively to characterize criticism of Israel as discriminatory harassment. So actually using the language of the Civil Rights Act to interpret criticism of Israel as being illegal. Not protected.
Uniquely of all states in the country.
Exactly, of all states in the country.
If you protest against the government in China, are they going to apply this equally?
Right.
That you're discriminating against Chinese people?
Really incredible. The operation is run out of a recently created office of the university called the Office of Institutional Equity. Wow. What did we say? Talk about using the language of the woke against the actual woke in this case. The Office of Institutional Equity, which the school has created to oversee the review and arbitration of all reports of discrimination and discriminatory harassment at Columbia. Yeah, we just created this agency to review all reports of discrimination. No, we didn't have concerns about discrimination until September of 2024, until the semester after the campus protests. It's just incredible stuff. That office is empowered to investigate students and faculty using an opaque administrative process that can punish those found guilty of discrimination with disciplinary notifications, suspensions, loss of housing, expulsions, and even the revocation of diplomas for graduates.
Wow.
Dozens of students have been targeted by the OIE over their activism on campus in recent months. DropSite spoke to several who are currently under investigation by the office. The students said that they received notices informing them that they were under investigation following complaints that can be submitted anonymously via a form on the OIE website. After a student receives notification they are under investigation for discrimination based on their speech, Columbia requires them to sign a non-disclosure agreement in order to see the unredacted evidence against them, effectively banning them from discussing the accusations against them or the process of the office publicly. Columbia University did not respond to a request for comment. So in order to see what you're being accused of, you have to agree in advance not to talk about it. You basically have to sign a gag order in order to see what you're being accused of. I mean, this is just this is from outer space.
The rules were written by Chancellor Kafka.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, this is really from outer space. In a September 2024 message from Columbia's interim president, Katrina Armstrong, the OIE was introduced to students and faculty as a centralized resource for addressing reports of discrimination and harassment and to ensure that cases are handled fairly and expeditiously. In practice, students at Columbia and legal advisors working on disciplinary investigations say that the office's focus has been overwhelmingly on targeting speech critical of Israel on campus. Obviously, no surprise there. One student who spoke with DropSite said that they received a notice in January informing them that they were under investigation on allegations they had put up posters on campus criticizing Israel and inviting them to a meeting with a case manager, quote unquote. The poster said things like condemn Israel and Israel is a terrorist state, which I am now being told by Columbia constitutes discriminatory harassment under civil rights law. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Columbia University, considered one of the most, esteemed academic institutions in the world, is saying that posters that say condemn Israel and Israel's a terrorist state are in violation of civil rights law. If one of them had said, now I censored that myself so that we don't have a problem here because I don't trust YouTube to put that in context, but you can imagine what that says, or something like that, I would understand. But they were nothing like this, said the student who requested anonymity to discuss their case, which is still under investigation. I interpret this as an institutional attempt to silence me with a policy that directly contradicts First Amendment rights and to instill fear about this subject to make sure people don't speak about Gaza or Palestine. In my meeting, I made the point that it seems that I am free to criticize the U.S. government at Columbia, but not Israel. And they had no answer for this. Yes. Yeah. The irony of that. DropSite reviewed letters that students received from the OIE as part of the investigation process against them. The letters included some details of the allegations against them, including charges that they had distributed posters on campus, placed stickers on walls, or posted calls on Instagram for student walkouts from class, or criticisms of the Israeli government conduct as genocidal. Students were also accused by the OIE of directly discriminating against the Dean of Columbia's School of International and Public Affairs, Karen Yarimilo, by referring to them as genocidal for hosting individuals associated with Israel at the school during the war. Students are being pulled into these proceedings with very few due process protections and little to no transparency, said Amy Greer, a lawyer who has worked with multiple students facing disciplinary proceedings in the OIE. The students are then asked to defend speech like posters or stickers that say stop arming Israel, or Instagram posts that call for walkouts, or art exhibitions, or communication that simply asks for a change of class time in order to attend a protest, she said. Yep, these are havens of open debate. Well,
wow.
Good for the students here. They are not backing down here. Nardine Kiswani tweets out, urgent NYPD is brutalizing and arresting Columbia protesters right now. Get to Columbia immediately. This was yesterday, so they had some protests on campus yesterday. I won't necessarily say in defiance of these orders, but despite these just Orwellian crackdowns on their right to speech. And here's another angle on this. Move back.
Move back! Get out of the corridor!
It's an Ivy League campus. This is where you're supposed to go to engage in debate and open your mind and challenge yourself, maybe even challenge power. Ha, ha, ha. This is what Barnard College have decided will be normal. Yep, there it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know why anybody would even apply to Columbia at this
Why would you go? Yeah.
Why would you go there? Boycott Columbia, man. Like, everyone should just boycott this school.
Yeah. But this is exactly what I said. I said last year when Joe and Mika did that stupid piece about, I forget what it was, talking about the university crackdown. I said, what self-respecting person would even set foot on this campus ever again?
Right.
Like, why are they even in business anymore? Why do they have any students anymore? Like, no one should go here.
Right. And I would think there will be a class action lawsuit. I mean, you're really You know, these are a lot of ambitious kids, many of whom come from money.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, and you're derailing their entire future. I can't imagine this is not going to end in a class action lawsuit.
You're going to revoke someone's
which you would
diploma?
clearly win.
Of course,
like,
you win.
I can't imagine you would lose the class action lawsuit. Even the things that they're being accused of are clearly First Amendment. None of the accusations were you made a violent threat,
Right.
you
Nothing.
harass somebody. No, it is literally exercising free speech and an opinion about Israel.
On college, at college, when you look at the
Right.
Vietnam War, where do a lot of the protests stem from? College campus. The whole point of going to college is to enlighten yourself in this way, to protest. Isn't this what these universities are so proud of? You would think so. You would think so. This was the genesis of Russell's article about the wokeness being this sort of Frankenstein monster that these universities created, right? They I won't say indoctrinated, because you should be versed in anti-colonial theory. I think that's a good thing. They did so very cynically, not expecting it to be applied in the current moment. And then when the students applied it in the current moment, what happens? They're invoking the Civil Rights Act to say your speech is illegal, putting up a poster in the hallway or wherever, calling Israel a terrorist state. That's illegal. You're saying that is a violation of legal language in the Civil Rights Act? It's just bizarre. You're gonna revoke someone's diploma for doing that? Of course, it's just blatantly illegal. Well, they can. It's fucking. Of course, it's illegal. Of course, it's illegal. But that is just. I mean, that is amazing. That is just a chilling crackdown. And the ultimate irony is, and we noticed this from October 8th of 2023, that these campuses, which really held themselves up all throughout the peak woke era, if we want to call it that, as being on the vanguard of progressivism and more broadly, compassion and empathy for the downtrodden and equity, right? Look at the lengths that they will go now. They will form secretive committees to illegally infringe upon students' First Amendment rights. This isn't a point of policy. They're invoking legal language here, and which is completely an illegitimate thing to do. This has no standing. I think you're right. I think they can be successfully sued for this, and I hope they are.
Yeah, no, they spent decades, and particularly the last decade, elevating Frantz Fanon and Edward Said. The purpose of it was always to deflect attention from questions of economics and class. That was simply a neoliberal education. It was very convenient for them to direct attention to colonial occupations that no longer exist, and have people look for microaggressions in the present and the legacy of that, and just aimlessly pick away at corporate manners and the language of corporations without actually challenging the basic premise of corporations, the basic premises of capitalism. Get Starbucks to put a flag on the cup holder, right? That was supposed to be the extent of it. They never thought through what would happen if a colonial settler project that they not only support, but that a lot of their donors and a lot of the owned politicians, pretty much all the owned politicians in the government, Democrat and Republican, will go absolutely ballistic to support, will trash any constitutional precept to support, including destroying your university if you don't suppress free speech. They never saw that coming, but here we are.
Yeah, no, it is. That is a really chilling example of that. No doubt about that. That is incredible.
Please clap.